What's going on, everyone? I'm Taylor Shelton. This is Coffee with the Bearded Reviewer. And today, folks, I have another special episode for you as I am going to be talking about the movie Gladiator with a good friend of mine who took some of his time to talk about this movie with me, and we talked about a few other things here and there. But overall, I had a great time talking about this stuff with him. So, with that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. What's going on, everyone? I'm Tello Shelton, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. I have my friend here, and he is going to be talking about the movie Gladiator with me, and then we're also going to talk about a few other things. And so, how about you take it away and just tell everyone where they can find you and just kind of like give us what you're all about.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. My name is Adam Fowler. I am one of the hosts of the Powerfall Project. It's a podcast. It's a weekly podcast where it's myself and my co-host Nick Powers um, talk about our top five things. We it's basically what it is two guys getting together, having a beer, and talking about that week's list, and it's a lot of fun. And we started it in this pandemic, and we've just kind of kept going. We're growing. Just this last week, we hit over 500 views or downloads. You can find us on Instagram as the Powerful Project, and it's just been a lot of fun. So I just want to say thank you, Tyler, for having me, and I look forward
Absolutely.
to our conversation.
Fantastic. So, just a little bit before we started recording, we were just talking about like how this video is going to go, but we are first going to talk about a review for a timeless classic directed by Ridley Scott and starred one of my favorite actors, Russell Crowe. That's right, Gladiator. So, how about we start off with how you feel about this movie? Because I would like to get your perspective and we can start from there.
Yeah.
You have the floor.
Well, thanks, Tyler. I appreciate it. So, Gladiator is one of my favorite movies. We did an episode a couple weeks back where uh, we listed our top five movies that had impact on our life, and it didn't make my top five, but it was definitely an honorable mention. And there's a couple of reasons why. This movie, in my opinion, was just a phenomenal job of kind of bringing us back to those epic movies. You know, we didn't really have a whole lot of those period piece epics where, you know, a lot of the movies of that generation and that early 2000s was more sci-fi and things of that nature. And so to have one of these older period piece epics where you have these just vast terrains and these wide sweeping angles, as well as just incredible action. And Ridley Scott obviously knows how to tell a story. Russell Crowe is the absolute man in this. You can't help but cheer for him. He is an absolute leader, but he is a man's man. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He is humble and just wants to get back home, wants to do the right thing. And then you are met with such an incredible antagonist, and
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix
Joaquin
is
Phoenix, the
is
Joker himself.
such yeah is such a good antagonist, and you can't help but relate a little bit with him too. And
Mm,
that's what I think what makes that dynamic so good is because, as you've said before in some of your episodes, you can't really have a great good guy if your bad guy's not as good, if he's
exactly.
lackluster. So, I
Yep.
mean, just with the main the just the music that goes throughout the movie the entire way. I mean, it's just a phenomenal movie. So that
Yep.
was me
Absolutely.
gushing all over Gladiator. So I appreciate the floor to be able to do so. So thanks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with you 100% all the way because you're really right, especially about just kind of like how it's a time period type movie, especially that it just came out just a year before Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the
Yeah,
Ring came out.
Yep.
because this is actually a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah.
So that makes it quite incredible because I remember watching that movie when I was that young. You know what? I think I was exactly 13 years old when I saw it. Just I didn't see it in the theaters, but I remember watching it with my friends, and I think it was just a little bit after it came out on DVD.
Yeah.
So this, like the DVD, it's kind of become kind of like the VHS of our Blu-ray selections now.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
But the but you know what? The especially the first time that I got the chance to see that movie when I was just 13 years old, and in comparison to when I watched it just recently, I kind of have a new, fresh set of eyes, and I got the chance to experience it as an adult. So like, you can definitely appreciate more of the art that went into this movie.
Yeah.
I really think that this is just one of those prime examples of how to do a vengeance movie this up to this caliber, because like another really good movie that's about revenge is that Count of Monte Cristo, and I love that movie too.
Yep.
But
Yep.
this one, it just came just right before Lord of the Rings, and I would say that this movie, it really sparked my interest into like everything that happened directly after it, such as like Troy, Lord of the Rings, uh, a few other movies that had like bows, axes, swords.
Yep. Yep. And all those have in common that phenomenal score of music that
Mm,
plays throughout, and you just feel it. And
you
I mean,
really do.
if I'm in the other room and a commercial comes on with some of the music from Gladiator, I get all pumped up and come running out of the room because it speaks to you, and you just can't help but be pumped up by it. And it's been an interesting piece for me because I've used that several times, either in coaching or playing, just to show scenes from that movie. When they're first uniting to fight against, when they're first as gladiators, when Maximus
Mm,
is a slave and has to fight in the arena,
yeah.
and they fight against the Roman soldiers, and they have to figure out how to fight together, and they end up with one of the most iconic scenes in the movie when they upset the Roman soldiers in that scene. And it's such a great come together leadership type quality movie with the music and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So it was just,
Oh
it was
yeah.
great.
But
So
I think, to me personally, I think the greatest line from that movie is the moment when he defeats all the guys. This is not in the Colosseum, but this is just kind of like in the beginning when he was becoming a gladiator. He kills the guy, and then he just throws that sword up to where the spectators are, and he goes like, "Are you not entertained?"
yeah.
I love that moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that moment was phenomenal.
Oh
And
yeah.
the thing is that he learned too. I mean, he learned then what his role was. And
Hmm.
that from that moment on, he learned that he needed to control the crowd, and he needed the crowd on his side, because to
Yep.
get to his ultimate goal, which was the revenge, he needed the crowd on his
Yep.
side. He needed to be that hero. And so, I mean, even and as iconic as that part was, it was a learning time for Maximus as well,
Oh
which was
yeah.
pretty cool.
I mean, especially for what Joaquin Phoenix's character did, like especially that he just kind of like just held tightly to his dad, and he just makes him suffocate. That's
Yep.
his first act of being a very heinous villain, and then all of a sudden you find out that he ordered his men to murder Maximus' family.
Yeah.
Another despicable act. So like, I just absolutely love how Joaquin Phoenix, he just made this character, you kind of understand where he's coming from, but it does not excuse his behavior, how he just treated the people around him.
Right.
And that was his downfall. Like, he decided to mess with people that he shouldn't have,
Right.
especially Maximus, because Maximus, all he had in mind, him. He was the main goal. He
Right.
was there to kill him, and then after that, be with his family and on the other side.
That's right. That's right.
I
For
mean, that's
sure.
just fantastic storytelling.
Yeah, it really is. I gotta tell you a quick little story. So when I first saw that movie, I was so I think I'm a couple years older than you because it was the summer before my senior year of high school. So I I went with a friend, and as you know, I'm originally from the Central Washington area, so it's high desert, and it was in the summer, right? So
Mm.
it's bright. It was the matinee, so it was the middle of the day, and we were meeting up with some friends to go watch this movie, and it was a super hot summer day, and that was kind of what you did when it was really really hot. I wanted some AC. The only place where there's AC is the movie theater, so we wanted to go do that. And we were meeting up with a couple other friends, and I personally, it's one of my pet peeves to be late to a movie.
Oh yeah.
It's just so frustrating. If I don't see the previews, I'm upset.
Oh
And
yeah. I'm the same way.
and we had a miscommunication. We didn't know exactly when it started, so we were walking into the theater while that beginning scene, when it's kind of dark and it's a little bit slow, when they're first trying to figure out, or when they're right about to fight the nomadic Germanic 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 nomads in
Yeah.
in the beginning fight scene, and it's just a little bit slow, it's a little bit dark, and we were hustling from the car in this bright sun, and then we jump into the theater and we're trying to go as fast as we can, and we're going down the aisles, but you come from outside where it's really really bright, and you go into your theater and it's dark and you can't see anything. My eyes haven't adjusted yet,
Oh yeah.
and we're trying to figure out where to sit. And in that theater, there's never it's never full. And we were like, okay, we'll just keep going down. We'll push down a little bit further. I can't see a thing. And then we finally just find a row, and we're like, okay, I guess we'll just go in here. And we just start going down this row, and we find two seats. We sit down, and then my eyes adjust, and I realize that those were the only three spots in the whole theater. So somehow we just happened to find the only two seats that were available, and we just more or less found them by braille because we couldn't see anything. So it
Oh
just kind of
gosh.
worked out. And that movie, I mean, it was just absolutely packed. And so for my little small town to pack out a theater, it meant something. And so that movie,
Yeah.
man, it was pretty special.
Mm. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, like that was almost kind of like that was almost exactly the same situation when me and my oldest sister, we we went to go see the Fellowship of the Ring, just almost exactly the same way that happens, like because we were actually in Palm Springs at the time, and so very bright out. Our eyes were adjusting when we got inside, and I'm all like, I can't see anything. I can't see
Seriously.
anything. But seriously, like it feels like that. It feels like that we're not going to be able to experience stuff like that ever again, especially with the way that the world is happening right now. I'm just a little bit worried for the theaters. Like we might not get that ever again.
Yeah, I think that we're having definitely a dip, and there might be some bankruptcies, and I think they're gonna the theater industry is gonna get hit pretty hard.
Yeah,
But just like anything else, if there's a need for it, um, once we kind of come out the other end of this thing, there's going to be some investment involved, and then people will get back to watching the movies again. And
yeah.
I tell you, Tyler. So my wife and I, we went and saw the movie Tenet. Okay,
Oh, you
and
saw
so
that movie?
yeah,
Oh,
so I've been
don't
wanting.
tell me. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm not gonna tell you anything about it.
Oh, okay.
I've been looking forward to this movie for months. And I mean, I'm a Christopher Nolan fan, and I was
Oh,
I
me
was
too.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely looking forward to this. And so I was kind of crushed that it didn't get into the theaters, and then
Mm,
it went, European release first. So we kind of, as a date night, we went and did a um a drive-in. So we went to the drive-in movie, and which is great. It was a great idea. I mean, like,
yeah.
with this whole pandemic and everything going on, why not go back to the drive-in? I mean, the drive-in used to be a flourishing industry. Why not
Yeah,
go
it
back
used to
there?
be like.
So
It's crazy.
we did that. The only problem was, as you're well aware, any Christopher Nolan movie, you need to pay laser focus attention to, and you want to be able to see every aspect of it. Well,
Hmm.
at the drive-in, you don't really get to see everything, and it doesn't. The sound is good because it's your car, but it's not as good as the theater and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of it that I missed, and which just means I need to go watch it like 4 more times, which is going to be great
Yeah.
because you know.
But that's kind of the case for Christopher Nolan movies because
Yes.
all of his stuff, like you need to pay attention from the beginning to the end because if you miss something, the whole movie is confusing.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one again. I'm not obviously not going to spoil anything for me. I don't know that I could because I don't know that I followed it all that well. So that's kind of the fun part. So it'll be like seeing it all over again. But from what I saw, the action was phenomenal and just the premise is so cool. So yeah,
How did Robert Pattinson do?
I actually think he's on the upswing as far as a career. I have beaten him up as an actor in my opinions of him, but from seeing the drive-in quality, uh, it was fun. It was believable. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm asking is because I'm a big Batman fan.
Oh,
So
okay. Yep.
when I saw him in the bat suit, I'm like, okay, okay, I'm
Yeah.
digging what I'm seeing. Like the
Yep.
trailer itself, it looks fantastic. And the
Yeah.
only line you hear him say is that he actually says the the Batman animated series quote, "I'm vengeance."
Ooh.
Like that's I was like, okay, I think this is gonna be awesome. Like,
Yeah. You're on board.
I mean, for most of the time, you always think that when you see someone say, "Who are you?" and your first thought is that he's gonna go, "I'm Batman,"
Right.
but
Yep.
he didn't say that.
No.
But
No.
but just back to kind of like how I felt about Gladiator.
Yeah.
That movies like Gladiator, like I really do think that Gladiator has really paved the way for like blockbuster movies. How like you can actually take a blockbuster movie and it can actually be a really solid movie that will become a timeless classic. Like you got incredible action, you got incredible cinematography,
Yeah.
and the direction is fantastic. Like I think Ridley Scott, I think he's just one of those very few directors that he can't do anything wrong.
Right. Right. And you're right. I mean, even though that it's absolutely violent,
Oh, very
there
violent.
are there he doesn't he he does it so artfully so that it happens so quickly that a lot of times you're not really seeing it. And so you don't need to go into the gore as much because it's filmed like it's handheld film, so they're holding the camera, so it's not as steady on the gory stuff, and so
Mhm.
you're feeling like you're part of the action, so it's just as
Yeah.
intense. And after the fight scene, you finally exhale, and so he does a great job of that. But you're not
Oh yeah.
just it's not just violence for violence sake. It's
Hmm.
part of the story, and he does it
Yeah.
really, really well.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. And I almost forgot that there was actually another actor that is actually quite huge at this point. But this was like at the time when he was like really young, Dijon Hanso.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think this might have been his very first movie he's ever done. But like even his role, it was still a very compelling character that he played. Like he was kind of like that new best friend to Maximus.
Yep, yep.
That he just became kind of like a pivotal character for Maximus. Like he kind of helped him pave the way to become like the most recognizable gladiator that everyone cheered for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. He did a phenomenal job. And
Mm.
if it wasn't his first main screen role, he definitely it was the launching point for him.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I mean, especially for that actor, like even to this day, I still consider that Blood Diamond. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah.
Like, I really thought he was going to get the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in that movie, but he lost to the guy that was from Little Miss Sunshine. And I'm like, what? Why? He deserved that Oscar.
So you're not a Little Miss Sunshine fan?
Oh, I love that movie. Like,
Oh, okay.
I
All
thought it
right.
was a very endearing, charming, funny movie.
Yep.
But when it came down to the acting roles, I really thought that Digimon Hanso was like the actor of the year when it comes to like a supporting character.
Sure. Sure. I hear you.
But the next thing I wanted to ask you is, out of all the Ridley Scott movies, would you place this one in his top 5?
Oh yeah. I believe so. I'm gonna have to run through my list of Ridley Scott. But yeah, I mean, because Ridley Scott did Aliens, right?
Yep, he did Aliens.
Yeah. So I mean, you know,
I
I
guess.
mean, okay. So Aliens is its own thing. Blade Runner
Oh,
is its
yep.
own thing. Oh
Um,
man, how do I put that in the top? I mean,
oh man, like I said before, is that I really think that Ridley Scott is just one of those actors. He's like James Cameron. Like, they usually come out with like one movie every 5 to 10 years, and they make masterpieces. Like,
yeah.
he's just one of those very few directors that you actually have full confidence in.
Yep. Well, and yeah, and he vets out his stories. Oh my gosh, could I put that in the top 5? I mean, I loved Prometheus even.
Really.
You know, obviously Black Hawk Down,
Mm,
uh, American Gangster. He did. Now some of his other see, I would say that this is his best period epic. I mean, because he did Kingdom of Heaven, he did Robin Hood, he
it's
did
true.
Exodus. I mean, yeah, he
Is
did
it?
so many good
It
ones.
really looks like that he is somehow like maybe a best friend to Russell Crowe, because he's appeared in several of his movies.
Right, right. Well, and he did Hannibal as well. I loved Hannibal. So,
That's right.
man, you threw me for a loop there with that question. So, yeah, I mean, I would have to actually look into that one before I felt good
Mhm.
about my answer. But
But definitely glad I would actually put Gladiator to be my number one favorite Ridley Scott movie, and probably Alien number 2, and probably number 3 would probably have to be. Mm, oh man, like maybe Kingdom of Heaven.
yeah, Kingdom of Heaven's good.
Yeah, but yeah, like you said before, is that he does a lot of movies that is more kind of like on the gory side,
Yep.
but he does it with such an art flow.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of that has to do with music, right? I mean, where he works with Hans Zimmer a lot, and then
Hans Zimmer, another a very phenomenal score
yeah,
person. Like,
exactly. No, he's one of the best movie composers, and yeah, I mean, you know what's cool too is that he uses main actors that are believable, and like
mm,
so Russell Crowe obviously is in shape, he's athletic, doing his thing in Gladiator, but he's I mean, he looks like a gladiator, but he doesn't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger as Commando or Conan. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he chooses the Matt Damons, he chooses the Russell Crowe, he chooses the guy that we want him as Captain America, but he doesn't necessarily have to look exactly like Captain America. You know what I
exactly.
mean? He
Like,
doesn't be as clean cut and chiseled.
hmm like he's going for the ones that would typically be someone that you might want to like hang out for a beer, or
Right.
just kind of like that decent height, but
Yeah.
yet someone that is
A
willing to
normal
get
guy,
ripped.
a
Yeah, a
normal
very normal
guy,
guy. Yeah,
but that's elevated, right? I mean, it
yeah.
has that leadership quality, and
Mhm.
yeah. So, I hear you. I hear you. You have a little look to yourself, like Russell Crowe, from my end over here, man.
Oh yeah, it was actually not long ago that I had a very full beard, but since Halloween came, I actually just took this part off right here. That way, I will have the look of Wolverine because that's what I dressed up out for.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
But I really did want to have like a full-on Wolverine beard for like a much later time. But I was like,
It was time. It was
just
time to
trim
let
it
it go,
down,
huh?
then just redo.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like my beard came down to kind of like right here,
Yeah.
so it was a very full one. But it was fun while it lasted. But I'm gonna get it back.
Yeah, for sure. In this COVID time, I've flirted with having a big thick beard a couple of times. I've let it go, and to the point where I got the brushes and the oils and all that kind of stuff,
Mm,
and it just becomes too much of a hassle, and I just trim it all off again.
yeah. But oh my gosh, like I could not handle it not until we were about like almost 2 months in and all the salons were closed and I'm like, ugh, my hair is getting too long. I can't do anything. It was
Yeah.
driving me crazy.
I don't necessarily have that problem. I'm a little bit thinner up top, so I just buzz it and shave it myself. So it makes it a little bit easier to
Yeah.
maintain in the pandemic.
So I have one more question for you. So, and it's regards to like being kind of like a critical thinker. What would you give this movie out of 10?
You know, I got to think through my answer. So, in order for it to, to be a 10, it would be perfect.
Mm.
And I don't think it was perfect, but I would say that it was probably somewhere in between 8.5 and 9.
Okay.
As far as likability, as far as watchability, like I'll watch it. I've seen it a million times, or a bunch of times. I'll probably see it a
Mm.
bunch more times. My kids will eventually see it,
Mm.
and yeah. So I'd say 9 out of 10.
That's good. Yeah, I would actually be about the same as well. I mean, I would consider this movie to be like a almost perfect movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what it comes down to, kind of like what you said, is it one of those like rewatchable movies?
Yep.
And I would think that it's more kind of like a rewatchable movie once every year, probably.
Yep.
So like, I mean, yeah, there is entertainment value there. The story is fantastic. The action is fantastic. And actually, there's one action set piece that actually almost caused Russell Crowe to get badly injured.
Okay.
It was
I don't know
actually
about this.
it was actually the scene when the tigers came out of the hatches.
Yep.
But they really used live tigers in that scene.
Wow, I did not know that.
So apparently, I don't know the whole story, but apparently the tiger, it was actually trained for it to act that way. And Russell Crowe, he was actually not supposed to be getting too close to the tiger. So what you saw where he was about like this close away from the tiger from its claw,
Yeah. He
that
swipes at him. Yeah.
he swipes at him,
Yeah.
that was real time.
That's awesome. I love stuff like that.
So that's one thing that I just absolutely just love about actors like Russell Crowe, Tom Cruise, Tom Holland, like some of those actors that they actually do their own stunts. Like
Yeah.
they are willing to set their lives on the line just to get a good sequence.
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan did all of his stuff for the Rock,
For Rocky?
for
No,
Creed.
no, Creed, yeah.
Yeah. So all those when he got punched in the face, he's actually
Mhm.
getting punched in the face.
Yep,
So yeah, I have a lot of respect for those actors that go through the whole
yep.
deal for
You,
sure.
you also got the likes of Sylvester Stallone, especially when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But no one can rock it besides Tom Cruise. Like
Oh man.
He's been doing this for so long. Like even at this age, he's still doing stuff by himself.
Yeah.
It's it's
And
it's redonkulous.
well, and so how a lot of the Mission Impossible movies get made is he goes off with his crew and they try a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
And then they come back and then they meet with the writers and the director and they're like, this is what we're doing. This is what this would be fun. And then they just kind of sculpt the story around the really cool scenes that
yeah.
he's already planned out of what he's going to do. And I mean, like, can you imagine? Is there a better dream job than that?
I mean, if I recall, I think the most recent Mission Impossible movie, he actually did badly hurt his foot, and I think they had to delay filming for at least like 6 weeks.
Yeah, from the jumping from building to building,
Yep.
and he tries to roll out of it. Yeah, and the part where he's up in the top of the skyscraper in Dubai,
Oh
where he's
my god.
standing on the top of that. I mean, he
I
he. I
was
mean,
I was breathing so heavily in that scene. Like, ah,
yeah.
it just made me feel so anxious.
Yeah, and in the helicopter scenes too. I mean, he flew his own helicopter, and a lot of that was in New Zealand. And he wrecked one, and he had to have the insurance guy come and talk to him, and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
but
he's living the dream.
yeah, like I said before, is that Russell Crowe is another one of those actors that he's willing to probably risk his life to get a good scene, and it just shows, especially with that whole tiger story. Like it, that was just like a full on unscripted live moment that happened with
Yeah,
in the movie, and I just love moments like that. Even though that I feel bad because he was getting very close to death in that particular scene, but just the effort that he put into just kind of like fighting this guy and surrounding himself with live tigers,
yeah,
like that's crazy.
yeah. I mean, it's wild. And he's the kind of guy too that really immersed himself in a role. I mean, just shortly after that, he was in Insider, I believe, and he had to put on a bunch of weight and be out of
Mhm.
shape and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he was a gladiator in the best shape of his life to do Gladiator, and then
Yep.
shortly thereafter, he had to, put on the pounds and get out of shape. And
And I think yeah, after that movie, I think he had to get back into shape to play the role as a James J. Braddock in Cinderella Man.
right, yeah,
Have you seen that one?
yeah, James Braddock.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Cinderella Man. That's Ron Howard. That's another really good
Yep.
one.
Really good. Yeah. Even Russell Crowe and Ron Howard, they usually tend to do a lot of movies together too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can speak to Cinderella Man where it was just you felt throughout the whole movie, and it was it's a boxing movie, but you feel the characters, you feel the uncomfort and the pain that they're all going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another really good one.
So with that being said, is that like I was telling you before, is that I would say that the Gladiator is just an almost perfect movie, but just with the fact that the action was just so realistic that Russell Crowe was willing to risk limbs to make a good scene.
Yep,
Like that is real, true working art. Like
for sure. Yeah, I agree.
there's a lot of art that went into this movie. So me, I would have to say that this movie is a 8.75.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the only downside of the movie is that I feel like that there could have been several moments that maybe we didn't need it in the movie.
Okay.
Like I feel like that we didn't need to like drag on with kind of like that little side story about like um I always forget his name, but he actually died just before the movie came out. The guy that
Oh, right. Um, who plays the gladiator trainer?
yeah. I
Um,
mean, as much as I loved his arc, but I felt like that they didn't need to actually have him be killed off just for the sake of the fact that the actor passed away. In general, I just kind of feel like that if an actor dies, just maybe do something that will kind of like do well to kind of like push the main character, not
I see
like
what you're
just kill
saying.
them off.
Because you didn't necessarily need that end tied up, is what you're saying. The guy that play,
Yeah.
and I just had to Google it real quick, and it's Proximo, his
Mhm.
character. And
Proximo. Yep.
yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know how much we truly needed to tie a bow there.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I hear you. And it was, I mean, it's a dang near a 3 hour movie. So you can, I mean, there's always things they can trim back. But yeah, I mean, it was just that epic style. So you're going to have a little bit slower transitions. You're going to have
yeah.
that, the looks of the vistas, and you're going to have the really letting the music play while you're
Mhm.
transitioning and things like
But
that. But yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
but seriously, like the acting, the score, like everything that had like a particular kind of art, it just really blended very well together. And I mean, that's the very reason why I gave the movie a 8.3 quarters.
Yep.
I mean, I guess I just have more kind of like nitpicks here and there, but like I said before, this is just an almost perfect movie. It's just a timeless classic, and every time when I watch it, I'm like, "Ooh, Gladiator! Ooh, ooh, ooh!"
Yep. 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 It's one of those too where I feel like this way with Shawshank Redemption too, but anytime that it's on TV, I'm probably going to jump in and watch it and
Mm,
finish it out. Like
yeah.
it is a commitment. So I'm not necessarily pulling it out of the DVD or I'm hitting play on it because it is a commitment. But when it's on, I'm checking it out and I'm
Mhm.
watching it.
Well, any last thoughts about the movie?
No, man, I think we did a good job. I think we talked about all of it. So it was really, I obviously love that movie. So I was
Me
just
too.
glad that you allowed me a chance to talk about it for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And so that also leads me down to because I know that you do a lot of like top five stuff, and I was just thinking about like instead of asking you what is your top five favorite Ridley Scott movies, uh, what would be like your top five movies of anything after 2000?
Oh man, what's my criteria? Is just my favorites.
Just your favorites.
Oh my gosh, I just feel like I will say the wrong stuff. Golly, man. Why don't we why don't we go back and forth? Why don't you give me one of yours?
Okay. So I'm kind of cheating here, but I would say that it would be considered as one just because it's actually a two-parter. Just it's within the same story. Is actually Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. It's kind of like a conclusion to each other. Like it doesn't say in the movie, like it doesn't say in the title Avengers 3, Avengers 4. It just goes like Avengers Infinity War and
Right.
Avengers Endgame. Like it felt like it was just like a two-part one movie thing. Like you can watch it back to back and you're like there's a lot of connections there.
Sure. Sure. I got that. And
But like these movies, oh my gosh, it just threw me for a whirlwind because these movies, it just really reminded me about like the first time I saw Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Like these were the movies that you actually wanted to watch in the theater because this was like a once in a lifetime experience
yeah.
because like it would just throw you with a big twist. Like this is a twist that you want to watch in the theater and just hear like everyone grasping. But like in Infinity War, it was the big twist is that Thanos wins and he snaps his fingers, half the population goes to dust.
Right.
And then there was the likes of like Avengers Endgame. It was a complete nerd fest. Like this like Avengers Endgame was like a full on love letter to anyone who loves comic books or
Right.
movies in general. Like that was a real, like, I really think that this is going to be like the most incredible movie ever made, because it was a culmination of 12 years in the making of all the movies that came before it.
Right.
So like you get teases throughout the entire series, and it comes up to this movie, and you got some really great payoffs, such as like you see Captain America pick up Thor's hammer. Then you got the likes of like Tony Stark giving his final say, snapping his finger.
Yep.
Like there's just a lot of like, oh snap! There's a lot of moments like that.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Okay. So obviously, anything in the Marvel universe is pretty great, right? They've done
Yeah,
a phenomenal job with that. So I'll
yeah.
go a different direction.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
go
pick
for it.
one that actually came out this year that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was probably one of my favorite theater experiences, and um, and I'm picking this one because I think it should have gotten awards, not just because it gets awards or doesn't get awards. It doesn't really matter in my opinion, because a lot of it is just kind of what's your favorite and your likability, and part of the art is the enjoyability versus
Mm.
whether it's winning awards. And so, one of my favorite movies, just based on the experience, was 1917.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
that one I saw in the theaters, and you felt it. Now, obviously, it was filmed
Yeah.
in a completely different style, so it feels like it's one continuous shot. And
Oh
they had a
yeah.
couple of obvious parts where it was cut, but for the most part, I mean, other than say 3 parts, the other all the other cuts were less. I mean, we're much more seamless, and you feel that you're going through this journey with these guys.
Oh yeah.
And I think one of the best parts too is that this is during World War One, where a lot of these people are not necessarily great at being a soldier, and so some of these are
Yeah.
just scared kids that don't really know what they're
Mhm.
doing in a tough situation. And so we're not following a battle hardened stud that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
We're following these kids that are just terrified, going
Yep.
through one of the most horrific things. And so I felt it, and I really really liked 1917.
I really liked that one a lot too. I completely forgot about that one just until you mentioned it. Like that, you're absolutely right. Like that was another like experience that once when you see it for the first time in the theaters, no one can take that away from you. Like
Exactly.
it's just one of those movies that like when you're in the theater, it feels like you're actually there. It's great, but like yeah, like you said, there's just like so much extended one takes. Like you're just seeing the camera; it's just going along with the journey of these two soldiers.
Yeah.
And from what I heard about the movie is that they did a lot. I mean, a lot of practical effects. Like there was hardly any CGI in this movie.
Right.
But
Yeah.
man,
When the kid puts his hand in the other guy's guts, oh, brutal.
oh, that was very brutal.
All right, let's bounce it back. So you got one of your top 5 now.
All right, so this one actually came out just this year as well. But there's a part of me that wished that it came out in theaters just because of how like very high caliber, especially the cast was, and just that it's actually being produced. One of the guys that gave us the Avengers,
Hmm.
and it's directed by a stunt guy. But I'm talking about the movie called Extraction.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Hemsworth, right?
Yep.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Have you seen that one?
I have. I have.
That
It was a lot of fun.
that movie is very good. Like the way I would put it is that it felt like that I was watching if Black Hawk Down and Die Hard had a baby, it would be Extraction.
Sure. Sure.
But like
Yeah.
this was another movie that just had a lot of very long takes. Like it was all one take, one camera, and it just went with the flow of all the action. Like it's very rare for you to get a movie like that, such as for 1917. But were like complete long takes, and Chris Hemsworth, he got so fit to do this movie. Like he was actually being mentored by the director because the director is actually a stunt double actor.
Sure.
So like,
No, that's a good one. Yeah.
and it was produced by one of the Russo brothers.
I'm not familiar. Remind me.
They directed uh, the 2 and 3 Captain Americas and the last 2 Avengers.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. All right. I'm gonna go my number 4. All right.
All right.
Actually, these are in no particular order, but we're gonna go with The Dark Knight. That is a movie that, I mean, you're a Batman guy, but and I love Batman too, and I think this one is just phenomenal. It's obviously not the origin story, but we get the Joker, and it's just really really well done. And I could probably watch it. I watched it probably once a week for about 6 months there. There was this stretch there where I was watching it probably once a week. I mean,
Wow.
it's just ridiculous. So I can always have it on in the background.
Yeah, The Dark Knight is just one of those movies that you would definitely put this one in like the top 5 comic book movies of all time. Like it's just
Yep.
one of those movies that comes once in a lifetime, where the acting is so on point, and yet it really it kind of does feel like it's kind of like the closest thing that we can get to a detective Batman. Like
Mm-hmm.
he really didn't need to use his brains to kind of like figure out how to defeat the Joker, because the Joker, he's the agent of chaos.
Right.
So like he's the total yin to the yang of to Batman. Like they are on the same coin, just different sides.
Yep. Yep.
And
Agreed.
so the Joker really pushed Batman to the limit, to the point that he actually needed to kill Two-Face just to prevent any more chaos.
Sure.
Because Batman is a character that does not kill. Like it's the very thing that makes Batman. Like he's just one of those superheroes that he's willing to break bone, but he would never kill.
Right.
So it
Yep.
came as a shock that he would actually push Harvey Dent to the ground to kill him, but it was all to protect a little boy. But yeah, like just the storytelling, and especially Heath Ledger. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, he killed it. I mean, he
he
just
really
did
did.
so well. He just did so well. One of the best villains of all time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 4 for you.
Uh, hmm. You know what? I think I'm gonna go all the way back to the very beginning of the MCU with Iron Man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Iron Man was great.
Yeah, because this was actually a real experience for me. Because, uh, so at the time I was living in Gig Harbor, which is just right next door to Tacoma.
Yep.
But I was actually raised in Gig Harbor, so I went to Gig Harbor High School, and uh, this was at the time it came out just within the first year of my college days. And so during the time when I was graduating from high school, there was this area that was actually being completely like wiped out of all the trees and all the nature. And then just when this theater, when it was built, it was actually built to make it before Iron Man came out. So I was leaving college to head home, and then all of a sudden I just see searchlights going all the way from that theater that just opened. So like where's the searchlights coming from? And then I just keep on getting closer and closer, and I'm meeting up with my friends to go see the movie. And this was actual opening night for the theater for the Iron Man movie. So like the only movie that the Gig Harbor Uptown Theater did was only Iron Man. Like all of the theaters were filled just for Iron Man goers.
Oh wow, that's a cool experience.
So, and there was the coffee shop that I always go to. So this was just like a real experience that I just got to have because a theater just opened, a very nice theater. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you can actually smell like it's almost like you get your first car and you get that new car smell.
Yeah,
That's how it felt
exactly.
like at this theater. I was just taking in all of the newness from this theater.
What a cool experience. That's awesome.
But Robert Downey Jr., he was born to play the role.
Of course.
And Jon Favreau, the guy that directed it,
Yep, he's
like
great.
he is like the go-to director in recent years. Like he gave us Elf, he gave us Iron Man, he gave us
Yeah,
the Jungle Book live action movie,
right. And
like
Swingers. Let's not forget
Swingers.
Swingers.
But the funny thing is that the first time I've ever seen Jon Favreau was actually from Friends, and he played a love interest to Monica.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. And he
So
he and Vince Vaughn met on Rudy, right?
that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like he's been at it for a while now. Like
Oh yeah.
he went from being like a comedic actor, then he went on doing some serious stuff, and then he started directing. And
Yeah.
actually, I didn't know this, but he started directing his movies along with his best friend, who is actually Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
Oh yeah, right. Yep. Yep.
And you
That's a
actually
good
see
one.
him and you actually see him right next to Obadiah Stane in the bigger arc reactor.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the little boy from A Christmas Story.
That's great.
But like Iron Man, the first one holds dear to my heart because it started the MCU. It just really like restarted Robert Downey Jr. just his career. It just really restarted his whole
Oh
life.
yeah. Yeah.
Like he just went through just so much when he was younger. Like to this day, he actually took a lot from the story of Elon Musk. Like he made Tony Stark to be a lot like Elon Musk.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that for sure. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. So I've done 1917. I did Dark Knight. I'm gonna do another Christopher Nolan. I'm gonna do Inception.
Yep.
So I just think it was I don't know. It just kind of excuse the pun, but it kind of turned the whole movie industry on its head because it was
Oh,
such a
dude.
good,
Yep.
yeah, it was such
That,
a fun movie. And then it kind of was a mind blow similar to The Matrix.
yes.
So I just,
Yep.
yeah, I just really loved it. And I mean, we could do a whole episode on Inception.
Oh,
So
yep.
we'll just leave
Like,
it at that. But it's just
oh,
so
yeah.
good.
Inception. It's just one of those movies that it took me at least 10 times to understand the movie. I had to rewatch it so many times, and every time when I watched it after the first time, I'm like, what is going on? And even at the very end, when you see that, I forget what it's called, the one that he spins.
Oh, just the little top that he uses.
Yeah, the little top. Like, you actually see it move just a little bit. But you're just going like, okay, wait. Is he in the dream world or is he in the actual world? Like,
Oh, at the end when it just right when the scene ends.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually got my wife to watch that movie while we were locked down during the pandemic, and it just threw her for a whirlwind. So
Oh yeah.
she had to rewatch it several times.
That's cool. Good. 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 All right, that's 3 for me. You're up.
Uh, well, you know what? I'm probably gonna need to go with another movie that came out in at least the last 5 years, and I would consider this one to be like the Dark Knight of Marvel. Logan.
Oh yeah, okay. Logan's good.
I mean, So here's the thing is that Hugh Jackman. I actually have met him in real life. It was
Oh
at
really?
yeah. He
That's
is.
cool.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. Like it really felt. It really felt like that. I was just like talking to like my dad in a way. I mean, it was weird because my dad he's only 6 feet tall,
Hmm.
but like when I see my dad, I see just kind of like a guy that I just need to look up just a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
It just felt the same way with Hugh Jackman. Like, but oh my gosh, when I met him, so the theme was is that I was actually studying college in New Zealand at the time,
Oh wow. Okay.
and so I took a little vacation from school because there was like this 2 week break, and so I went to this place in the Southern Island, which is called Queenstown, and
Yeah.
they actually filmed a lot there for Lord of the Rings #2.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I actually got the chance to like go on a tour of Lord of the Rings, and I got to like see some of the props that they used from the movies. Like I took some
Wow.
pictures of me wearing like all the dwarvish clothing and holding on to
Sure.
Gimli's axe, like
That's awesome.
Legolas's blades, Aragorn's sword. But on that very same day, he was actually shooting for the movie, the very first Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine,
Hmm.
and so he was actually not doing anything at the time, but he was actually just walking over to the same bistro that I was going to, and then all of a sudden we actually ended up just having a 30-minute lunch together and just talking.
No way. That is a great story. That is awesome. That I'm glad you got to do that. That sounds
Oh,
awesome.
dude, it was like the most exhilarating 30 minutes of my life. Like, but the weird thing is that he just felt like just a normal guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to get away from that little thing right there. But when I saw him die, especially when he was like, there's just something about the movie Logan that this was the Wolverine movie that we all wanted since we got him.
Yeah.
Like we wanted that rated R, gory, yet cinematically grounded movie that we wanted since day one. Like
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just
And he's the best that you could imagine to play that role. I mean,
yeah.
he just is Wolverine. So no,
He
that's a good one, man. I like that.
yeah. But seriously, like at the moment when he was dying on the log and he was holding on to hit X-23's hand. I
Uh-huh.
mean, if you speak scientifically, she's kind of like his daughter, but she's more kind of like a, a clone daughter.
Yeah.
But like at the time when they were holding hands, and he was just telling her, "Don't be what they made you to be," and that was just kind of like a reflection about Wolverine himself, because that was the very same situation for him.
Yeah.
Like he was created to be a weapon, and that was the last thing he wanted for her. So just those last words, and he says, "So this is what it feels like." And so it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, wait, is he talking about? So this is what it feels like to be like a dad, or is this what it feels like to die?
Mm,
It just kind of makes you think.
yeah.
But then when she says, "Papa," I'm like, "Oh no,
It
no!"
kills you.
That part, oh, that part made me cry.
Yeah. That's
It
good.
it really
When
felt like
a
how
movie can make you feel like that, that's just it's doing its job
yeah.
for sure. No, that's a good one, man.
So how about you?
All right. Let's see here. So I am a big Quentin Tarantino fan,
Mm,
and I have to throw this one out there. It's not everybody's favorite. It's definitely not even my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. But I'm gonna throw this out there because it was just so much fun and I loved it. And that's Inglorious Bastards.
okay.
Yeah, like I said, it's not everybody's favorite, but I
I thought you were gonna say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I really enjoyed that. I think I liked it a lot more than a lot of other people.
Really?
Uh, but but yeah, I just Inglorious Bastards I thought was written really really well. The comedic element of it is spectacular, and it has just enough of the gratuitous violence that Quentin Tarantino is known for, and
True.
it's slices his story in all kinds of different ways. And I just really really liked it. And Robert Rodriguez as the bear Jew in that movie is just so good, because these guys are all doing what we would all want to do to that particular group of people at that
Yeah.
particular time. And
Especially when you're in the presence of Adolf Hitler,
right,
like you just want to rip his head off.
right. And so it's just a fun movie that checks all the boxes for me for a Quentin Tarantino movie. So
Okay.
yeah, a little bit off the beaten path, but I'll throw that one out you.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. When I first saw Inglorious Bastards, I didn't know what to feel because, like, I mean, as much there are several Quentin Tarantino movies that I do like. I think my personal favorite by Quentin Tarantino is probably Django Unchained.
Yeah, of course. I love that
Like,
movie.
that's another movie that's about vengeance.
But so and I'm blanking on his name, but the villain of Inglourious Bastards, Chris
Christopher
Wentz?
Waltz.
Waltz, thank you. Uh, he's just such a dynamic bad guy, and I have a thing for bad
He
guys.
really
I
is. Yeah.
love bad guys. He just made your skin crawl. He just made you scared when he was in the scene, and then for
Yeah.
him to flip it around and be a great fun guy in Django, it just shows
Yep.
his scale or his range, which is just great. So,
Mm,
but I just really liked his performance in Inglorious, and
yep.
that's why I put it up.
Okay. I have to give you that. Yeah, he did a really good job being the villain in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the weird thing is that he was more kind of like the main villain than Adolf Hitler. I mean, like when you
Oh yeah.
do a movie that is about like that time period, and especially when like the most despicable person in our history is in that movie, you would think that he would be the main villain.
Right. Right. But that's
I just feel,
Tarantino, man.
yeah, but he was just kind of like a side character that they were all like
Yeah.
killing him like crazy. But it was just very satisfying to see them just like exaggerate
Oh yeah, that's the
that
fun
whole
part.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you got back to you. Two left. Or wait, is this your last one? This is your last
Yeah,
one.
the last one.
Okay.
So I'm actually oh man, this one is pretty tough. But oh man, there's a lot of good ones. But you know what? I think I'm gonna need to. This one is from a trilogy,
Okay.
but I personally think that this movie, it really was like a huge game changer when it comes to like the way you view any movies that have war in it, anything
Okay.
that has like practical effect battles.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Oh sure, it's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
it's just one of those movies that is just almost perfect, but like, especially if you watch the extended edition. Oh my gosh, like the extended edition, even though that is very long, but it's just one of those movies that you actually want to watch the extended edition because it really helps out the story a lot.
Right.
But
Yeah. No, it's so good. The whole series
yeah,
is phenomenal. I love number two. Yeah, it's just so much. It's so good. You get so much story. You get so much action.
mhm.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
like and even when you see Orlando Bloom being Legolas, and he just takes a shield and just starts shield surfing and shooting orcs with his arrows.
Yeah, yeah. A little comedic relief there. That's good.
Yeah, I just absolutely just love the comedic relief that comes from Legolas and Gimli. Like
Yep.
they're just like, in my personal opinion, I really do think that Lord of the Rings has come up with some of the greatest best friend characters in cinema. Like
Sure.
hands down. Like you got the best friends between Gimli and Legolas. Then you got the best friends between Merry and Pippin. Then you
Right.
got another duo that is the best friends of Frodo and Sam.
Yep.
So like
Yep.
they made the greatest. So not. I mean, like yeah. I mean, like the main characters. They are quite iconic and very memorable, but there was just something about the supporting characters that they just somehow made the main characters be even better.
Yeah, you can't help but get involved in all of the little side stories and care about those characters. It's
Yeah,
just, yeah, he just, I mean, Peter
like
Jackson is just phenomenal.
hmm
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. You're gonna make my mine look not as good with that call, because that was such a good one. My number one. Well, I don't know if it's number one. It's on my list. It's in the five, and that is Wolf of Wall Street.
okay,
I just thought that this was such a really, really good depiction of that time period. And like they've
yeah,
tried to do the Jordan Belfort story with Boiler Room, which I loved. Boiler Room, don't get me wrong. Giovanni Ribisi and all those guys in Boiler Room was phenomenal.
yeah.
But Wolf of
Uh,
Wall Street is
well,
just so good.
didn't they do another movie that had um what's his name? Uh, Michael Douglas and
Oh, the original Wall Street with Charlie Sheen.
yeah, Charlie Sheen. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that
phenomenal
was
movie as well.
yeah that was based on the same guy, wasn't it?
I don't. You know what? It may be. I don't believe so, because in the movie Wall Street is very much so traditional style brokerage, and Wolf of Wall Street is more of a chop shop and selling
Mm,
pink slips and things like that, or
yeah.
pink sheets. So yeah, um, but yeah, I just think that the Wolf of Wall Street, Leo did a phenomenal job of playing Jordan Belfort. Um, Margot Robbie didn't do a terrible job of being Margot Robbie, which always is a fan favorite.
Really, dude,
Uh,
I mean, you wouldn't believe this, but I'm actually older than Margot Robbie. Like when I heard that when I heard that I was actually older than her, because I always thought that she was older than me.
oh, really? Yeah.
There's just something about just the way that she looks, or just the way that she's just already assembled for being a really great actress.
Oh, she's phenomenal. I mean, she's beautiful. Obviously, that's the elephant in the room, but she's just a phenomenal actress too.
Yeah,
And I mean, if you look like Jamie Presley and you're able to act like she is, I mean, I mean, it's incredible. So,
yeah,
and then like Jonah Hill in that movie was just, he's so
yeah,
good
yep.
oh my gosh. And then Rob Reiner, as Leo's dad in that movie.
Oh yeah.
He's so good. He's just such a grumpy, good character. So
I mean,
anyway,
when you look at Rob Reiner, you can't see him but being the director of Stand by Me and The Princess Bride. Like
exactly,
that threw me off so much
right. So
because
when
I'm
he's on
like,
the camera, it's
why
great.
is this guy in this movie?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So no, man, that was fun. That was fun.
Oh, absolutely. And I do have to ask you, are you wearing a Hawks shirt?
You bet, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
You
Yeah.
bet. You bet.
Seriously, I absolutely love the Seahawks. Like, I really do think that they are real Super Bowl material this year.
They got a shot for sure. If they
Yep.
shore up some defensive holes, they'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
believe they just signed Carlos Dunlap, a good pass rusher. So we'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see, because their
But
defense has been a little bit suspect.
yeah, but you know what? I think they're kind of like accommodating this time for the offensive linemen, because I really do think that the Seahawks, that they have always lacked in having good offensive linemen, because their guys, Russell Wilson and Matt Hasselbeck, they would get sacked way too many times. But it feels like that they accommodated and gave us good offensive linemen, but not so good defensive guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a topic for another episode for sure, because I
Yeah.
could nerd out for sure on the Seahawks.
Actually, did you see Draft Day?
I did.
Seriously, I was laughing my butt off when I was going like, wait, are they trying to portray our Seahawks to be the bad guys in this?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. When the Cleveland Browns were the heroes, no thanks.
Right.
Yeah, and anything Kevin Costner touches, especially sports related, I usually love it.
Oh,
Not a
me
big,
too.
not a big fan of Jennifer Garner, but it doesn't have really anything to do with anything that actually matters. I just when I see her, I just go, I don't want to watch
But
that.
I really loved that they had Chadwick Boseman in that movie.
Yeah. Is he the running back
Yeah,
from Ohio State? I think. Yeah.
I mean seriously, like rest in peace, my brother.
Yeah,
Like
man. That was
it that
a hard.
that really shocked me. Like, but he was a real life superhero. Like, not only he was acting, but he was also undergoing the battle against cancer.
Yeah.
Like,
And mentoring a whole lot of kids that were going through the same thing. I mean, he's just
yeah.
he was a class act, and the fact that we didn't even know any of this stuff until the end also goes to his character as well. It's just
Mhm.
it's just heart wrenching.
But yeah, like we can easily talk about like all the great Chadwick Boseman movies. Like, there's already a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's a total video for another day.
yeah, for sure,
But
for sure.
well, thank you so much for being part of this.
Yeah, man, I was really happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, I guess just to close out on this video, I just want to say thank you for being part of this, and I just really hope that we can do this again. Hopefully, maybe we can do another top five. Maybe we can talk about like our top five '90s movies.
That'd be fun, man. Let's we'll figure it out. We'll get it scheduled.
Absolutely. Well, dude, thank you so much for being part of this episode. And I just want to say thank you for those who made it this far into watching us talk about movies. And we just really appreciate you being part of this community. And so, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of this video. And hopefully, I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate that you guys watched this episode all the way through. And if you really liked what you saw, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps us out here. And if you like what you saw, press the like button. And leave a comment down below and suggest another movie for me to review. Maybe I can do it myself, or maybe I can have one of my friends to review it with me. But yeah, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.